So, Life of Chuck is the story of Charles Chuck Krantz, played by Tom Hiddleston, based on an original novella from Stephen King, traditionally a horror author. This is directed and adapted for the screen by Mike Flanagan, traditionally a horror director, but who's also done Stephen King in the past. Just a few years ago, Mike Flanagan adapted Dr. Sleep for Stephen King. Now he's back to do something different. Not a horror, not scary, but inspiring. Right? Inspirational, something new and fresh. And that's what The Life of Chuck is. It is a film told in 3 parts. And I don't want to give away too much of the plot here. And I know that's kind of not really conducive, but we don't do spoiler reviews. And the fact is, most of this movie, I think, most of the magic comes from the presentation. What I will tell you is we are getting 3 acts in the story of Chuck's life. One younger, one kind of teenage, and one much older. And over the course of this, we are learning more about the man, gleaning more about the universe, meeting characters in his life who will come up later in a memory or a song. It's told a bit out of order, right? A bit asymmetrical, but I think that helps it. And ultimately, like most Flanagan projects, Life of Chuck is an opportunity to deliver a series of powerful monologues, right? You think of previous Mike Flanagan projects, most of his Netflix stuff, right? Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, House of Usher, even Dr. Sleep, right? Gerald's Game, the movie. What those things are, outside of being horror projects, are opportunities for characters to have long conversations about life and death and the universe and what it means to truly have meaning and what it means to laugh and to love and to feel pain and reflect on something poorly that's happened to you in the past. All of this is here in The Life of Chuck. All of those elements, all of those conversations happen in a most profound fashion with a cast that is absolutely excellent. But it's oddly shaped, and it's non-traditional, and is not quite like anything I've seen before, and I think that might drive folks away in a way that is unintended. The trailers are intentionally vague. They don't give you a lot of plot. They don't tell you exactly what's happening, and I don't really want to either, because I think giving that away gives, like, that presentation, that framework, the way this movie onboards you into what's happening and then lets you out at the end is special. But it's so not for everybody. Andy, what did you think of The Life of Chuck?
I think there's a lot of things that work in this, and there's some that doesn't quite. I was really with it for the first hour. I think the first hour is brilliant, and then the second hour is just, it kind of gets weaker the longer it goes. The first act is brilliant. We first meet Chiwetel Ejiofor, who's a teacher at a school in what appears to be the apocalypse. There are disasters and wars, and it seems to kind of be like society is shutting down, and people are reaching out or not reaching out. They talk about there's lots of suicides, and I don't want to say too much about that, but the first act is, man, I was like on the edge of my seat because I'm trying to figure out what's going on, because in the midst of the apocalypse are all these billboards for thank you, what's it say? Thank you for 39
Chuck Krantz
years.
For 39 years, yeah.
Right. So there's all these billboards, and there's like signs and billboards skywriting. We hear commercials on the radio. We see commercials on the TV. Thank you for 39 years, Chuck Krantz. And it's a big mystery because no one seems to know who he is. They're like, who is this guy? We keep seeing stuff like it, but no one seems to know him. Past that, like I said, the first act I think is brilliant. I feel like this might have made a better episode of television. It feels like it would have made a really good Black Mirror episode or some sort of sci-fi thing. Because there's a little thing going on in this, maybe a little bit too much. It's a short story, and it feels like it should have been kept at short story length. Like this is almost a full 2 hours. Just feels a little bit too long for what he's trying to do.
Yeah, I agree. The first act in this movie not only could have been its whole movie, but is notably better than the rest. And it's a shame because the first act is uniquely dreamlike, and it's a great place to open a movie that is supposed to be hopeful and is mysterious in its presentation, right? Like, I know it's the feel-good movie of the year. Somebody said it was like The Wonderful Life of the 21st century. So starting on A World Gone Sour is strong. Like, because I'm coming into the theater, putting Twitter away and seeing like the mess of the news that's on reality right now, right? So opening the movie with, hey, things are not good here either. But we're gonna find our way through is really strong, and it's imaginative and it's visual. Acts 2 and 3 are much closer to our actual character, Chuck Krantz, Tom Hiddleston, a couple younger versions of him, and those are strong as well. But the opening is the best part of it. Like, you could have expanded that out to 90 minutes and it could have been its own movie. And it's funny because it's a King joint, right? Stephen King. So you know that our person who's kind of coming up with this is a writer and a creator and a storyteller. So the stories that we're getting in these 3 acts are unique and special all their own. But you start to notice as you watch the film that elements interweave, right? A character's name from over here in Act 1 will show up in Act 3, or a car that you saw in Act 2 was also in Act 1, I think, somewhere. Even like lines start to cross over and you start to see this like intermeshing of a universe that I think is really clever and special. But the problem is, I don't know if it sticks the landing. Some of these monologues are special and unique. Chiwetel Ejiofor has a great one about the timing of the universe. And later in the movie, Kate Siegel, who's actually married to Mike Flanagan and is in all his projects, has a fantastic one about the idea of us containing multitudes, right? Walt Whitman, I think. I so enjoyed that stuff. Mark Hamill's got a great speech in here about that math and art and why one is informed by the other. Like, there's some really great content, but like, it's also just a little muddled and like, it's unclear how it all comes together. And when it kind of does, it's somehow a little unsatisfying because I think you're just expecting something grand and it's so much more humble than that in that way, yeah, it might have made for better TV, like a 3-part series, or like Gerald's Game on Netflix, which is a King adaptation from Mike Flanagan. That's like 85 minutes, like much smaller. But just getting a whole theatrical is interesting, and I worry it'll hurt because I don't know how much it costs to make, but I don't know if they're making it back.
I wanted to talk about this idea of the feel-good movie of the year, which I feel like we hear that all the time. I always cringe a little bit when I see that, and I brace for impact because it is really hard to do that, to make a feel-good movie that actually is uplifting. It makes you feel good and doesn't feel cheap and undeserved. I was trying to think of some more recent examples, and I came with something like Everything Everywhere All at Once has a very kind of positive message, like the power of being nice, the power of positivity. And at the end of that movie, instead of having a big like Marvel style fight, it's actually about kind of being nice and the power of that. And that has a very like uplifting kind of message and experience. This is like kind of halfway. I feel like it's a very hard thing to do. It's hard. It's easy to do like tragedy and drama. It's hard to do things that are just like positive, uplifting, and for people to go with it. I feel like, again, there are some, I think the overall thesis is about looking for love and connection and friendship and those important things, no matter how bad things are getting, which I think is a very timely message. Like I said, the first act, the apocalypse is apparently happening. But as we meet Charles Krantz in his other areas of life, he's also dealing with lots of tragedy in those areas as well. So it's about looking for the positive parts of life as you're dealing with the negative parts, which I think is a strong message. As far as feel-good movie of the year, maybe there's been a lot of people connecting with it.
Yeah, we'll have to see what else comes out this year. I should say, as I was saying before we jumped into the review here, like I got some pretty bum news last week regarding some professional stuff that I don't want to get into, but I've been pretty dour lately. I've been pretty down. So I was looking forward to Chuck, and I was like, man, I hope Flanagan helps pull me out of this for a little bit. And I'll be honest, it did, man. I actually really liked it. Like there's a lot of stuff in here that I liked, but kind of like Materialist, it is so not for everybody. In fact, I think the audience this is for is so much smaller than the audience it isn't for, that it's going to end up hurting it. Like, I do think it's special, and I think there are people out there who will connect with this in a way that they're like, oh, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. But like, not for everybody. Andy and I were talking about it yesterday. Everything Everywhere All at Once is a good example. Secret Life of Walter Mitty from Ben Stiller is another great example. I love that movie. I got that movie on Blu-ray. So not for everybody. I've met people who said that was the most boring movie they've ever seen in their lives. Like, it's okay. That's the trouble of feel good, right? Like, you can't make everyone feel good. but like you can hopefully inspire some, like, and share a little bit of who you are in King's writing and in Flanagan's work here to grow into something special. I know it means a lot for Flanagan. Like I know he's in it briefly. His wife's in it. I think his son is in it for a portion. Like he has talked about in interviews how meaningful this is and how important this script is to him. So like I see all that and I believe that this was important, but I honestly, I think the trouble's in the script. Like it's like the core writing. I love the cast. I like the way it's shot. Very charming, returning round of characters from Flanagan's previous work, along with a great number of fun cameos that I didn't expect. Mia Sara's in this from Ferris Bueller, for God's sake, and she's great. I haven't seen her in a movie in a long time. Matthew Lillard makes an appearance and he's fantastic and he's a delight to see show up in this movie. Like, oh my God, I haven't seen Matthew Lillard in a minute. I really enjoyed watching it for sure, but it's just kind of, I don't know. I don't think it's going to stick the landing in the way it should. But also it's probably not getting a sequel. It's kind of a oneer, you know? And in that way, like relatively harmless feature. I don't think it's going to hurt Flanagan's future findings. He's still got that Exorcist movie coming up. Like, harmless, but also doesn't stick enough, I think, to really stick with people.
I enjoyed the soundtrack to this. It helps to kind of move things along. Again, it's great in that first act. That's really good. But a soundtrack can only do so much, but I did enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, soundtracks, but I went back and listened to it on Spotify. It's the Newton Brothers. Is that their name or something? They got a funny... It's a group. I can pull it up real fast. Let's see. It is... Yeah, the Newton Brothers are the composers, who I don't know a lot about. They did Dr. Sleep, Daredevil Born Again, and Five Nights at Freddy's. That's what they're known for on IMDb. So hey, the Dr. Sleep folks did a good cover of that old Shining soundtrack. Yeah, the music's actually really good in this movie. Yeah, would encourage you to go check it out on Spotify after you've seen it. Not too shabby. Any other thoughts on this for recommendations, Andy?
I'm ready.
Andy, would you recommend The Life of Chuck?
I would, but I would say save it for streaming. It's up and down there. The first act is really strong. The first hour is really strong. Tom Hiddleston is very good, but then I feel like it's not as strong in its second and third acts. It does have some interesting things about life and death and the nature of being in the universe and some big ideas. I feel like it's taken off a little bit more than it can chew. There are good performances. It's maybe just a little bit too long for what it is. Would probably make a better episode of television.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I liked it. I'd say hang out, wait for streaming. I'll bet it's coming to Netflix. That's where most of Flanagan's work is. So probably gonna land over there. Check it out then. If you're gonna go see something in theaters, no big rush. But yeah, if you're down, also if you're down or need a little pick me up, couldn't hurt, man. Get some popcorn. You might just like Life of Chuck. I liked it. Not for everybody. God, that's the episode. Episode 297 off script. Andy, what are we watching next week?
Really excited for next week. We're going to be watching 28 Years Later, which is the third film in the 28 Days Later series. It's been nearly 20 years since the previous film, so long time waiting. Really excited for this. We're also going to be taking a look at Deep Cover, which is a new comedy out on Amazon about a couple of a theater teacher and students who have to kind of infiltrate the mob or something like that. I've heard a lot of good things. Heard it's really funny. I also wanted to mention that Pixar's Elio is coming out this weekend. If you need something new to take the kids, that should be fine. I've heard it's safe, nothing special, but I'm sure it's a good time. Also, I wanted to mention, because I made a good joke about this, Cleaner is out on HBO Max, starring Daisy Ridley and Clive Owen. When I saw that Clive Owen was on the poster, I said, "Oh, it's called Cleaner because they're both washed." Heyo, I'm here all week.
Daisy Ridley or wash. It's good. I like that. That's a good joke. If you enjoyed this,
28 Days Later, a Deep Cover for next week.
28 years. Oh god, dude, 20 years will be something. Yeah. If you enjoyed the show today, episode 297 of Off Script, the best way you can support us is just subscribe to the episode or subscribe to this show on your favorite platform of choice. We're on YouTube. Big things happening over there. come check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all the usual social media places you can follow and like over there. Our audio listeners can find us on Google Play, Spotify, iHeartMedia, and iTunes. Love you guys. Started on audio podcasts. We'll always do audio podcasts. Let's see. You can check out our website, offscriptfilmreview.com, and you can email us correspondence directly at mail@offscriptfilmreview.com. From all of us at Offscript, the home of Bolt Cinema, I'm Zach Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Draper.
Thanks for watching.